Hello and welcome to the Room to Talk podcast with me, Michael Dunn. This is a podcast where we chat to real people in and around the local area of Salford. Our guest today is one who could be regarded as a Salford success story, having been raised in the local area in times which were less outward looking. She's worked hard to become a successful businesswoman and is keen to give back to those in need. Alison, welcome.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Can you tell me a little bit about who you are?
Yeah, my name's Alison Nuttall. Been a Salford girl all my life. And there's an old-fashioned saying that you can take the girl out of Salford, but you can't take Salford out of the girl. So I'm still here, and even though I live in Rosendale now, been in Rosendale for over 20 years. I moved up to the valley with my husband. I'm still a Salford, and I'm still a Manc and proud.
So you got a lot of passion for Salford, is it?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, so can you tell us what life was like for you growing up?
Growing up was a really happy time. We always had, Mum and Dad didn't have a lot of money, but they always made sure we had like a holiday, with walks. We always had a new outfit. Always went to Blackpool, but we went to Bispham, the posh part of Blackpool. And Mum would say, we're not going to Blackpool, we're going to Bispham. So she was a bit of a snob sometimes when it came to, herself. She wanted to always try and give us the best that she could ever give us. Obviously, growing up, we didn't have bathrooms, we didn't have carpets, we had an outside toilet, we had lino on the floor, it was cold, the frost was on the inside of the glass, not on the, so it was tough, but that was that era of growing up. It wasn't, I don't think it was any tougher for us than it was for any other child growing up in Salford. It was just that they did the best that they could possibly do.
And what was your family structure like? Was there, how many people were you growing up with at the time?
So there's only me and my sister Leslie, and we've always been a close-knit family. Dad worked permanent nights so that he could afford to give us, a few extra treats, like you say, a holiday once a year, Llandudno or Morecambe or Bispham, Scarborough, all the places that you did go in them days, because you couldn't go abroad. We never even knew abroad existed when you were little. It was just, you were just always located in England, which is where we've come back to now with this COVID. It's all back to staycations and home holidays. So it was very a happy childhood, very happy. And we always had jobs, we always had structure in our family home, and lots of love, lots of fun. Dad was an absolute character, always laughing, always joking. The corniest jokes you'd ever hear, but a very fun, happy childhood, and lots of love in the house, which is lovely. To think that we had not a lot, but we had a lot of love.
Yeah.
So that was really important.
So obviously we touched on it already that you're a businesswoman, you were a wedding planner,
Yeah.
and you run a wedding planning business.
Yeah.
I just want to touch on what your growing up has impacted in your business life at the moment as well. So do you think there was any roles for you in the family or in your friend group growing up that may have led to you becoming successful in business?
I'm not sure about that. I think my mum and dad always just said to us, all you have to do is do your best, try your hardest, work hard, and you'll get the rewards that you deserve. And that's always been instilled in us as children growing up. So I think it was just something that I just thought it came to a point where I'd been employed by companies a long time. I didn't start my own business till I was 40. So it was quite a thing out of the blue, really. I'd always worked for people. I'd been self-employed for the last 12 years, but it was a case of, if I don't do it now at 40, I'm never going to do it. And I just thought, well, I'll give it a go and see where it takes me, because a lot of these corporate companies, you're just a number, and I just got fed up of just being, going through the motions of doing a job that I'd done for that long. It was admin and sales, and although I enjoyed some elements of it, I felt like it was just a continuing get up, get to work, do your work, come home, and it was just very, very much the same every single day. And obviously, you had your weekends off. So this role that I do now and what I have been doing for the last 12 years is very much so different, and we get indoctrinated to be in a certain role of being at work by a certain time, being at work by 8 o'clock, working, or 9 till 5 or 8 while 6, whatever that role is. And for me, I just thought I've had enough of all of that, but because it's been indoctrinated and I've done it since I was left school at 16, it took me a long time to actually stop feeling like, well, I might do an 8-hour day one day, I might do a 15-hour day the day after. And it was like a mindset I had to change to think, well, actually, today I deserve a lie-in because yesterday I did a 15-hour day. And that mindset took a long time, and still sometimes now, it takes me time to think, well, I am my own boss and I can actually do what I need to do when I need to do it, because that's what being in business is about. It's wearing lots of hats. You need to wear so many hats, accountancy, sales, marketing, you name it. There's so many hats that you have to wear as a self-employed person that it's literally 24/7. It can be, and sometimes it's all consuming, and sometimes your own family have to take a back seat, which isn't always good, and you lose a lot of weekends. Although you have a couple of days off in the week, you tend to lose the family time at weekends because you're doing weddings and you're working, and it's always like a catch-up. So there's always a plus and a minus to whatever job you're doing, but with being self-employed, you don't always feel like you're actually working. It's more of a devotion and like a lifestyle, and people actually think when you're self-employed, oh, she's got a few bob her, she's doing all right for herself. Well, sometimes it's like the rough with the smooth. You can do all right sometimes, and then other times you're wondering where your next job's coming from. So there's pluses and minuses with everything. And I suppose if somebody said to me 12 years ago, would you become self-employed? And if I knew then what I knew now, I probably wouldn't have done it. But I jumped in with both feet and a leap of faith, really, to do it. And I'm not sure now, thinking about it, would I have done it?
Do you feel like you've made the right decision in the long term?
It's a tough one, really, because obviously we're in a pandemic, so it's a different situation. Like, people that are still employed, luckily, have still got jobs and they're still getting a regular income. With this pandemic now, everything's on hold for weddings, so there's not a lot of money coming in. We have had a bit of help from the government, but it's not the same kind of regular revenue that you're used to pay your bills and keep your mortgage and keep your roof over your head. So it's been really stressful, I have to say.
So thinking about your life pre-pandemic, and obviously you've been majorly affected by the lack of support that you've been given during the pandemic.
Yeah.
Would you have said you had made the right decision up until the start of 2020?
I think so, but being in the industry I'm in as well, I mean, to start the job at 40, it's quite a physical job that I do as well. It's not just the planning side, it's the physical side of what I do. I do all the styling, so a couple will get to meet me, we'll sit down, we'll have a conversation, we'll do a quotation for them, and then I'll do their, if they book me, I'll do the wedding for them. So I do everything from A to Z. And I am a sole trader. I'm a self-employed person. So because there isn't that much, a lot of money to be made in the job I'm doing, it's not like I can employ loads of staff, because I never grew the business to that level. I just kind of I am the business. There is only me. So, the family, the friends, people that I work with in the wedding industry, we all kind of do pull together when you've got big events on. but it is all just down to me. So in terms of that, that's something that I think. I'm 59, sorry. I'm forgetting how old I am. I'm 60 next year, so the physicality side of the job is something that I'm going to have to consider that I'm not going to be able to do for a long time because it is so strenuous. So I think if I maybe should have started it when I was in my 30s and not my 40s.
But it's a great burden on you at the moment.
Yeah, I think just because of the pandemic, because nothing's going on, it's a difficult time, and you're trying to stay positive for brides because they've lost their wedding. Their dream wedding is now put on hold for a whole year, and that's the only thing that they can think about. They are the most important person on the planet for their wedding, so you're having to try and be positive, remain positive for them. And equally trying to, keep your head above water and trying to stay positive yourself and thinking, well, none of us know where this is going and how long it's going to last. So it is quite a difficult situation to try and remain positive for them and say, oh yeah, we can move your wedding to next year and everything's going to be fine and dandy. But nobody really knows. So yeah, it's just you just feel like you're just treading water at the minute, not knowing what's going to happen.
Is there any hope for you though on the side of how this might grow forward? Because obviously there is still going to be interest in people getting married. Hopefully relationships will strengthen during this the lockdowns that we're going through, and people are still keen to cement the relationships by getting married.
Yeah, I've got two. Well, I had two weddings this weekend. One actually got cancelled yesterday, and they're only for 15 people at the moment. So you've gone from weddings from 50 to 70 to 150 people down to 15. So mostly I'd say 96% of the weddings that were planned for this year have gone forward into next year. It's just whether we can sustain. The way, if the government will support us financially moving forward into the next lockdown or the next quarter of the winter months to see us through, because December, even though it's Christmas and it's December, Christmas is really a busy wedding period. So I can maybe do 5 or 6 weddings during December, and that money usually lasts me through January, February, before March and spring, which is when the weddings actually start again. So like one bride this week for March wedding, she's now decided to put her wedding back to October next year. So she's moved her wedding 3 times, which is absolutely devastating for her, but devastating more on a financial basis for me, that I can sustain my business, and extend it into next year. And that's why really we do need some more support and some more precise decisions from the government to say what is going to happen. We need a plan B.
So in them circumstances, how do you adapt the way that you can live?
Well, what I've actually done, I've redone my website, I've tweaked that. I've been on social media because obviously the last thing people want to think is that you're not doing things in the background. So I've still been maintaining a presence socially on social media. I've been still doing stuff in the showroom, in the stock room. There's still always stuff to do, whether you're doing a wedding or not. So I've tried to stay active by doing these things. And during lockdown, I've actually retrained as well to become a celebrant. Now, a celebrant, it's a family celebrant. It's not funerals and weddings. It's just families and naming ceremonies. So my process thought was that it's always something that I wanted to do, but never actually had the time to train to do it. So during lockdown, I've done a 10-week training course on Zoom to train as a celebrant, and hopefully that's the next transition for me moving forward. So as I do move off the styling of the job, the physicality of the job, I'll have something to fall back on, which it still gives me a good revenue, and it's something that I can do. but it's not as physical, and it's still I still will stay in the industry because I absolutely love the industry that I chose to be in. It's a lovely kind of feeling when you meet couples and they're excited about the wedding, and you're planning an event for somebody, and it's a real good, warm, heartwarming feeling to be in, and mostly it's kind of like helping people during the process, because planning a wedding and going through the process of a wedding, it's up there with one of the most stressful things that happen in life. Either weddings, divorce, death. They're all stressful situations that people put themselves in, or sometimes you've got no choice. So my job and my planning and my styling and my support with those people actually help the process run a lot smoother and a lot stress-free for them. So I get a lot out of doing the job. It's not just the money, the financial side of it. It's probably less about that and more about helping people, which is what Mum and Dad always, instilled. Leslie and Tommy, they instill that, helping people in the community. So, that's kind of my role of helping people get through it. So hopefully the celebrancy will stand me in good stead, and hopefully if we can't actually style the weddings, then I may be able to marry people and still enjoy the process.
Was that always your aspiration then, to go into weddings, or when you were younger, did you have other aspirations and ideas of life that you'd like?
Well, growing up, I always wanted to be a nurse or an hair hostess, which, again, if you think about the professions, there always roles of helping people. So maybe that was kind of a vocation, but I didn't get to do either of those roles. Didn't train to be a nurse, didn't train to be an air hostess. I think growing up to become an air hostess at the time, I think you needed about 5 languages, whereas you don't need any of that now. But at the time, that was something that I, had aspirations to be. And like I say, they're all caring roles, so maybe that's where my vocation in life lies, helping people.
Well, that's been a consistent theme throughout our conversation so far, is that you are somebody who does like to help people, and that's been instilled in you throughout life, and that's what you've taken into your business as well.
Yeah.
But not a lot of people know this about you, but you've raised a lot of funds for charity as well. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, last year I got involved with Bury Hospice. Now, Bury Hospice is a local charity in the Bury area, and they have hospices all over. There's the Bolton Hospice, St Anne's Hospice. So these hospices are all over the community in Lancashire, and each one plays a vital role. And it's usually end-of-life care for it to be in a hospice, palliative care. And when my dad was poorly, getting a bit upset now, sorry. When he was poorly, he actually went to daycare for Bury Hospice. And when he died, I just thought, I came across this opportunity to help the hospice by doing a dance for Strictly Come Dancing. It was called Strictly Best Foot Forward. It's been going about 3 years. And it was been organised by a lady called Deborah Lyle, who's one of the trustees of the hospice. And I got to know Deborah because she's actually a celebrant, herself. And I used to see her going into the weddings as I was coming out of the weddings. I'd done the styling and she'd go in to do the ceremony. So I got chatting to her and she said, I need somebody to dress the room for the next fundraiser. So I said, all right, what is it? So she started telling me about all this Strictly Come Dancing, Strictly Best Foot Forward. And she said it's a real good money spinner for the hospice. It raises an absolute fortune for them. So she said, I need somebody to dress the room. So I said, well, actually, I said, funny enough, I was at Bury Hospice a couple of weeks ago, and it was a pamper weekend where you have treatments done. And I said, I've actually signed up for this. So she said, oh, really? So that was quite an interesting conversation. So I said, look no further. I said, I'll dress the room and obviously I won't charge you a penny for it. I said, that's my way of helping support the money for the hospice. And there was 16 of us and 16 couples, so 32 adults. And we all met at a place called Such a Class, which is a dance studio in Little Lever. And you literally got signed up with somebody. I didn't even know the guy that I was dancing with. But my dad absolutely loved to dance, and he was kind of like my Fred Astaire, if you will. So I just thought, you know what, this is something that I can remember my dad by. I love to dance anyway, and it's something about giving back. So each couple have to raise £500 per person, so that you can. So it's £1,000 a couple that you've got to raise. Now that's quite a lot of money to raise, and you think, oh, I'm never going to do this. Anyway, they actually raised. I raised on my own over £1,000, and collectively as a team, we raised £58,000. Which was the best that they've actually ever raised. And we did the performing night on the 7th of December at the Longfield Suite in Prestwich. And all the family were there and everybody supporting. And it was just an absolute blast. It was like being on Strictly. It was such a fun time and such a fabulous experience. I think it's probably one of the best experiences I've had in my life, because it uplifted everybody. Gave the hospice a lot of money, gave everybody a lot of hope, and everybody just loved the night. It was just such a really classy night.
And I suppose it made you feel better as well, because you had an emotional connection to that cause.
Emotional connection, yeah, with my dad. And obviously they asked people, why are you doing it? And everybody that got involved on that night had some reason to do it. Either they'd had a daycare, somebody going to the daycare centre, or somebody had died in the hospice, somebody that they loved. So it is a very emotional experience to do that event, but it's so fulfilling that we were just on a high. It was just an amazing evening.
Lovely. I had a final question to ask you, and it was about competitiveness and being a little bit kinder to people in terms of business and that. But I feel like, from the sounds of your experience in business, a lot of people do pull together. So if you don't mind, I'm just going to try and rejig it a little bit before I ask you. So really the question was, as a business owner, the world of business can be extremely competitive. What can other businesses and business owners learn from you to become a little bit more together and caring? So what do you think businesses can do to become a little bit more together and caring?
That's quite a tough question, but I think, like you say, just to be kind to each other, and it can be cutthroat, but at the end of the day, even in the industry I'm in, it's cutthroat, but there's enough work for everybody. And I've always been of the opinion that you help each other. So say for instance I'm short of an item for a wedding, I can ring up another venue dresser and say, can I borrow this or can I borrow that, and that kind of does help and reap with rewards, because if you all work together, then there's no need for animosity, there's no need for hatred. I'm a firm believer in you get out what you put in, and also I'm always a firm believer of passing on a good deed. So if I do a good deed for somebody, so a bride might book me for something and I'll always throw something in, so that's kind of like my good deed, and then that passes on, so she'll tell a lot more people, so I just think that even though business can be cutthroat, I've always been a firm believer of helping anybody wherever I can, and that comes back tenfold.
It's a fantastic message to send.
Thank you.
I hope business does pick up for you, and I hope everyone can work together to be able to bring these small businesses through.
Yeah, we just need some support from the government, I think, for the next chapter, because I think the wedding industry has been a bit forgotten, although we come under the hospitality umbrella. But hospitality can mean many things. It can mean, You know, restaurants, hotels, bars, lots of casinos. You know, bowling alleys. Lots of the hospitality industry have different genres. So whereas a lot of people have been able to come back and you know, come back in COVID and open. I know we're in tier 3 lockdown again now, but a lot of them venues have still been able to continue, especially restaurants where they're serving food. Obviously, pubs have had to shut. But so weddings come under the hospitality umbrella, but there's millions of us, you know, small single suppliers like myself, photographers, DJs, all of these people that are self-employed, that are single, that just come under that umbrella, but then we get overlooked.
Yeah, it's a case that I think people do need to rejig and rethink, and I think that the points that you're making there about the other members of the hospitality industry as well, who are being able to rejig a bit of what they do,
Yeah.
sure that it could be workable for yourself.
Yeah, there's a campaign at the moment there's a company called Guides for Brides, and they're like an advertising place where you can advertise online and brides can go online and find suppliers, and they're doing a hashtag What About Weddings, which is an important hashtag, which we're trying to get through to the government, that, you know, the hospitality industry is a massive area to cover, and we're the forgotten ones. So hashtag What About Weddings. We need your support, Rishi Sunak. We need your support.
Thanks, Alison. Can you just remind us what your website is if people would like to find it?
Yeah, my company's called Party Essence Wedding and Events, and it's www.partyessence.co.uk. You can also find me on Facebook, social media, Instagram, and you know, if you can just go on and just like the business, give us a tick, give us a like. It just keeps the business ticking over. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alison.
Thank you.